Welcome back, friends. Letter writing. That's the topic of conversation today. So, how many of you have been involved in the letter writing campaigns over the years? I remember years ago when I was regular pioneering, we used to do a lot of letter writing because who wants to knock on doors for 70 hours a month? So, we would do letter writing. And we'd use letters for typically people that were not at home consistently for so many visits. We'd leave a letter, and that's what we did. Now, what I used to do out in the rural territories, and I'm not sure if they do this today, but we used to write letters, and we'd do baggies, put all the letters or a letter in a bag with a whole pile of magazines, older issues, and we'd seal it up. We'd have the double seal Ziploc, and then we'd wire it to the gate, because all in the rural territories, all of the country territory houses that had gates, we of course were not allowed to climb the gate. You could get trapped with a dog, and then you're at your own risk. So we used to write letters, put them in the baggies with a bunch of magazines, fill them up, old magazines, and then put them on the fences. So everyone wanted to do these territories because you'd beef up your magazine calls, and you'd write a letter, and you'd get lots of magazine placements at every call at the gates. So it was very popular at the time. Now, I used to put my phone number on there, but no one would ever call me back. And my letter would be more about the news system and about the paradise. And that's kind of how I'd sell the whole thing. But what I appreciate about this letter, we're going to read together, if this is a new kind of a letter that some of the Jehovah's Witnesses are writing. And I thought it was so well done because it gives the whole picture, the whole scope of being a Jehovah's Witness, what it's like to be a Jehovah's Witness, right in 2 pages. And it's brilliantly done. It's very, very accurate. And why I think this is good. I think this is a good letter because now with the internet, and everyone out there can go to the internet and plug in Jehovah's Witnesses, what are they going to see? So in this letter, this Jehovah's Witness person, or if this is from the governing body, I'm not sure, but it's very well written because anything you're going to find out there on the internet is in this letter. So if I was reading this letter and it was left at my door, and I want to know a little bit about this religion who's left me these nice magazines with paradise pictures on them. And I would go in and read this letter, and I would go on the internet and see how much of it's true. And I'd find, holy crap, this letter is very accurate. In fact, I'd be phoning this guy back and I would be saying, you know what? You wrote a very accurate letter. I really like you. I want you to come back and visit me. I think this letter would get you more return visits than the way we used to do it in the olden days. So tune in with me. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, tune in and see how effective this letter will help you. It starts out, dear neighbor, since the end of the world, as we know it, is dangerously near, we are writing to you to tell you that the things your minister has not told you, but which Jehovah's Witnesses, JW.org, wants you to know. Jesus Christ, as Michael the Archangel, returned invisibly in the year 1914, the start of the last days, and proceeded to judge all Christian religions. In 1919, Jesus personally selected the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, aka Jehovah's Witnesses, as God's Spirit-directed organization to preach the good news of God's kingdom before God destroys all human governments and false religion in the approaching battle of Armageddon. Matthew 24:14. Therefore, it is imperative that everyone who wishes to avoid destruction by Jehovah at Armageddon become a Jehovah's Witness as soon as possible. Admittedly, the Watchtower previously claimed that Armageddon would definitely occur in 1914 and then again in 1925. Then it was strongly suggested that it would occur in 1975 when the Watchtower officials coined the phrase, "Stay alive till 75." But those were just the predictions of imperfect men. This time, however, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses is really sure So do not hesitate any longer. Do not make the common mistake of reading your Bible without the aid of Watchtower publications because you might conclude that Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong. The governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses is Christ's faithful and discreet slave, Matthew 24 and 45. And only the governing body can accurately interpret the Bible. So forget everything your minister has told you, because all religions, except for Jehovah's Witnesses, are false religion, and their ministers are actually ministers of Satan who have blinded their eyes. They may preach that Jesus is the mediator between God and men, 1 Timothy 2 and 5, but they have not told you that Jesus is only the mediator for the 144,000 Christians who are spirit anointed to go to heaven. True, said that no one comes to the Father except through him, but the only way to Jesus is through the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, the faithful and discreet slave. Only the 144,000 Christians were given the hope of going to heaven with Jesus, Revelation 14 and 1. All other Christians who survive Armageddon will enjoy everlasting life on a cleansed paradise earth, Psalms 37:10 and 11. Only a small number of those 144,000 spirit anointed Christians remains on earth today, and all of those are Jehovah's Witnesses. I think there's only about 9,000, maybe 12. I'm not sure. They alone should partake of the bread and wine when commemorating the annual Lord's evening meal. Jehovah's Witnesses believe it is a sin to accept life-saving blood transfusions because the Bible plainly tells Christians to abstain from blood, Acts 15 and 20. Admittedly, many scholars say that the only biblical prohibition regarding blood was against eating the blood of animals killed for food, but those scholars are wrong because the faithful and discreet slave says so. Thousands of Jehovah's Witness men, women, and children have died for refusing life-saving blood transfusions because only the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses can determine what is or is not a matter of conscience, because they speak for Jehovah himself. And according to the Watchtower, one must prepare to obey the governing body or one's local elders, even if doing so makes no sense from a strategic or human standpoint. If one dies needlessly by doing so, there is always the resurrection hope for those who die for obeying the governing body. People who leave their family's religion and become a Jehovah's Witness are often disowned and shunned by their families. Such persecution is to be expected because Jesus said he came to cause such divisions among families. However, when Jehovah's Witnesses ostracize, cut off, and shun family members who leave their religion for conscientious reasons, such as unscriptural Watchtower teachings and practices, it is out of love to help the straying one return to Jehovah. Tearing families apart out of love is encouraged by the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. And don't be distracted by all the lawsuits and negative publicity against Jehovah's Witnesses for failing to report the crimes of pedophile elders, ministerial servants, and pioneer missionaries within their congregations, which crimes were never reported to civil authorities but were kept hidden in secret Watchtower databases. Jehovah's Witnesses are in the world, but they are not of the world. As Jehovah's representatives, they have the right to disobey laws which they deem to be in conflict with Jehovah's laws. Like the first century Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses must obey Jehovah as ruler rather than men. So it is okay for Jehovah's Witnesses to withhold the truth for the purpose of misleading enemies of Jehovah, even if they do so in courts of law after having sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now, before visiting a Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, be advised that Jehovah's Witnesses are well-groomed and modestly dressed. Their female-approved associates wear minimal makeup and jewelry and choose dresses that show no cleavage and with hemlines below the knees. Their male-approved associates refrain from wearing beards and tight pants, which were designed by homosexuals, according to the faithful and discreet slave. Visitors are encouraged to adhere to these guidelines in order to fit in and to avoid receiving judgmental stares from others. Have a nice day. Your smiling JW neighbors, jw.org. And on my letter, I have phone numbers. It says for comments or questions, please contact Jehovah's Witnesses at 1-845-524-3000 and 306-1000 and 744-6000. So what a nicely done letter. Whoever did that, a very good job. And whoever sent that to us, thank you very much for sharing. And I'm so happy to be able to share that with the world. So until next time, friends, keep living your life with love. Bye for now.